Andrés Escobar's name is forever etched in the tragic history of football. His story is not just about a gifted defender with a promising career, but a cautionary tale about the pressure of fame, national pride, and the dark side of the sport. A hero to many, Escobar's life took a tragic turn after an own goal during the 1994 World Cup that led to his murder just days later. But his death was not only felt in Colombia. Fans and celebrities worldwide mourned the loss of a player whose life was cut short by the toxic intersection of football and violence. This is the tragic story of Andrés Escobar, football, violence, and the 1994 World Cup. Born in Medellin, Colombia on March 19, 1967, Escobar's early life revolved around football. He was a young man who found solace and purpose in the sport, beginning his career at local club Atlético Nacional. Escobar's remarkable talent quickly propelled him into Colombia's national team, where he became one of the country's most trusted defenders. Known for his calm demeanor on the ball, precise passing, and ability to read the game, Escobar earned the respect of fans and teammates alike. His rise in Colombian football mirrored the country's growing dominance in international football during the 1990s. In the early 1990s, Colombia was a force to be reckoned with in the football world. Under coach Francisco Maturana, Colombia's national team became one of the best in the world. By 1994, Colombia was ranked 5th globally, making them one of the favorites to win the World Cup. This was the year that would forever change Escobar's life, and ultimately, his fate. The 1994 World Cup, held in the United States, was a tournament full of hope and high expectations for Colombia. The team, with players like Carlos Valderrama, Faustino Asprilla, and of course Escobar, were seen as one of the most talented sides in the competition. However, disaster struck early in the tournament. In Colombia's opening match against Romania, they failed to secure a victory, leaving them with only 1 point from their first 2 games. The pressure was mounting as Colombia faced the host nation, the United States, in their final group match. The match, played on June 22, 1994, would go down in history for all the wrong reasons. Colombia's 2-1 loss to the United States meant that they were eliminated from the tournament, but it was an own goal scored by Escobar in the 35th minute of the match that would haunt him. The ball deflected off Escobar's foot into his own net, giving the United States the lead. Despite a valiant effort from the team, the loss sealed Colombia's fate, and they were sent home early. The loss was devastating for the country, but the tragic consequences of the own goal would only begin to unfold. Escobar's mistake on the pitch became the focal point of blame in the days following the match. In a country where football was more than just a sport, it was a matter of national pride, the loss to the United States was seen as a humiliating failure. The media and fans began to blame Escobar for the team's early exit, turning the own goal into something much more significant. The problem was that Colombia was not only dealing with the disappointment of failure, but also with the widespread violence that had plagued the country for years. In the early 1990s, Colombia was under the influence of powerful drug cartels, and the national football team was not immune to the dangers of this underworld. Escobar, unfortunately, became a target. In the days following the World Cup, the frustration and anger of fans turned into something much darker. On July 2, 1994, Escobar returned home to Medellin. He had been staying at a friend's house, and after a night out, he was confronted by a group of men at a local bar. The group of men allegedly began mocking him for the own goal, shouting insults like "own goal" and accusing him of costing Colombia the tournament. A confrontation quickly escalated, and one of the men drew a gun, shooting Escobar multiple times. He was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to his injuries shortly afterward. Andrés Escobar was just 27 years old. The murder of Andrés Escobar sent shockwaves throughout Colombia and the world. The incident was seen as a tragic reminder of the intersection of football, violence, and the country's struggles with drug cartels and crime. His death highlighted the extreme pressures that athletes can face, especially when their actions are perceived as a blow to national pride. Escobar had paid the ultimate price for a mistake that was part of the game. But what made it worse was that the error had cost him his life. The murder of Escobar was widely condemned, with footballers, celebrities, and fans alike mourning the loss of a talented, humble, and beloved player. Colombian footballer Carlos Valderrama, who played alongside Escobar, was visibly shaken by his death. Valderrama later recalled the tragedy, saying, "Andrés was a great friend, and he did not deserve to die the way he did. His death affected us all, and we all suffered. The tragedy of his death is something that stays with us." Other football stars from around the world also paid tribute to Escobar. Brazilian footballer Romário, who played against Escobar during the 1994 World Cup, expressed his shock and sadness over the tragedy. "Andrés was a fantastic player, and his death is a loss to football. What happened to him is beyond comprehension," Romário said. In the United States, where Escobar's own goal had helped send the host team through to the knockout rounds, there was also an outpouring of grief. Fans and players who had witnessed the tragic incident in Colombia were left in disbelief. Some expressed anger that a mistake on the pitch had led to such violence. In the days following Escobar's death, FIFA, the governing body of world football, released a statement expressing its sorrow and condemning the act of violence. "Football is a sport that unites people, and violence has no place in it. We mourn the loss of Andrés Escobar, a player who embodied the spirit of the game," the statement read. The tragic nature of Escobar's death transcended football, and his story was discussed globally, reflecting on the toxic environment in which athletes sometimes live. While the public outpouring of grief was widespread, it was also a reminder of how dangerous the fusion of fame, sport, and crime could be. The death of Andrés Escobar was not just the death of a footballer, it was a death that spoke to a nation's deeper issues with violence, crime, and the harsh realities of living in a country where football had become a vehicle for both hope and despair. Escobar's murderer, Humberto Muñoz, was eventually arrested and sentenced to prison for his role in the crime. Reports suggest that Muñoz was linked to the violent underworld of Colombian cartels, though it is still unclear whether he was acting alone or was part of a larger conspiracy. His arrest did little to quell the anger and sorrow that surrounded the case. For many, the idea that a player could lose his life over a single mistake in a game was a powerful symbol of the pressures that athletes, particularly those in high-profile countries like Colombia, could face. Andrés Escobar's legacy, however, has lived on long after his tragic death. In 2005, the Colombian Football Federation held a tribute match in honor of Escobar, with former teammates and opponents alike coming together to remember the life and career of the fallen footballer. His memory continues to live in the hearts of those who knew him, and his story has been used as a cautionary tale about the intersection of sport and violence. In the years since, Colombia's football team has continued to produce top-level talent, with players like Radamel Falcao, James Rodriguez, and Juan Cuadrado emerging as stars on the international stage. But the shadow of Escobar's tragic death continues to loom over the sport. His story serves as a reminder of how fragile the lives of footballers can be, and how the pressures of success, failure, and national pride can sometimes lead to devastating consequences. As the years pass, Andrés Escobar's name is still remembered with sadness, but also with pride. He will forever be remembered not only for his skill and leadership on the field, but also for the way his death highlighted the dangers that come with fame and fortune. His story is one of profound loss, but also one of resilience, as the world continues to honor his memory. If you found this story of Andrés Escobar's life and death moving, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world of football and the lives of its greatest players. Stay tuned for more exclusive content and never miss out on the untold stories of the sports world.